Yo, Hiro, how
Yo,
many
yo.
shiai do you think that you've lost in the past due to a shimpan getting it wrong? How many do you think?
What? Too many. Don't let me start.
Me too, man. And I tell you what, when you've lost, when you think it's not quite the right result or the shimpan got it wrong, what has your
Mhm.
sensei told you in the past?
Well, he really got angry at me. Just stop complaining about it. Like there's always reason you lost.
Right. For
So he was very angry at me.
for
You know,
complaining.
don't yeah, complaining about complaining. It is what it is.
Don't bloody complain. Do better.
Yeah.
More kakarigeko.
Mocha Karieko, shut up. Stop whinging. Stop
It's a
whinging
It's a
about
real
it.
important one. It's a really important topic because this happens a lot. Athletes
Oh,
see things that Shimpan don't see, or vice versa. The Shimpan can't see what you can see when you're standing in Kamai and you know that you hit the guy first as Debanakote, but the men get scored. That happened to me at the World
right.
Champs, no less. And it was devastating, right? But the thing is that when we have those situations, what do we do as a coach? What do we say to our athletes who have lost the fight and
Right,
and
right.
they know that perhaps the shimpan got it wrong. So today we're going to be talking about what you can do to help your athletes
Hmm.
survive that little experience when they lose when they shouldn't have lost.
All right. So, one thing I think it's instead of shut up, suck it up, do better. That's a one way, but instead of as a coach, probably I want it to be heard. Just first let it all out. What I think and what was wrong. It is. The competitors didn't want to. Don't want to lose. Don't No one fights to lose. If it's unfair loss, probably they have to be heard and just let it all out first. And after they calm down, probably we can give them advice. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man, I think it's important to listen. And this is about empathy. And, you and I have already established it. We've been in that situation heaps of times. And you come off the floor, you're disappointed. You're a little bit embarrassed because you really should have beaten this person in your own mind, or it was set up that you were going to beat this person. So they're going to be hurting, and we know that. And so this is where it's really important as a coach, I think, like you say, to listen, hear what they have to say, let them complain. I think it's probably good form to do that in private rather than on the side of the shiaijo. That brings a bad image to the club or to the team if that's overheard. But give them a chance to unpack it and maybe shed a few tears, maybe say a few swear words if they need to in private, so that you can keep a good level of respect to the other people in the venue, but let them be heard. I think you're man. I think that's a great point. So once we've empathized with the athlete and you sort of see, I've been there, mate, I know what it's like, it's an opportunity then, I think, to offer a different perspective. And it's a really good, in my experience, when I've had coaches do this with me or when I've been coaching, is maybe not in the moment. If we can give the person a little bit of time just to cool off, there will be an opportunity to offer a different perspective later, whether it's later in the day or maybe later in the week or whatever it is. You need to make that judgment as a coach. But when we have that opportunity to offer a different perspective, that's when we start to say things like Inoue Hanshi used to say to us when he would come over to New Zealand and watch a shiai and someone would lose a point. We'd say, you shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. You shouldn't have been there where you could get your debana kote cut. Well, that's a little bit difficult to stomach, but the point is that it's a learning opportunity, something where we go, okay, well, perhaps if we were standing in a different position, the shimpan may have been able to see you, or perhaps spending too much time in subazeriai is going to lead to a hansoku. Whatever the context is, starting to offer that advice at that time after the person's been heard and had a little bit of chance to calm down, offering those different perspectives can be a really important next step in the process, right?
I think we talked about it. I don't remember, but this is what always said to my students: you cannot control your opponent or your shimpan to start off with. You really can, you have to focus on what you are capable of and what you're working on, and whether or not if you did what you wanted to do. So that is really important for competitors. Of course, you want to win, and it sucks. It sucks if you lose because of bad refereeing or misjudges. But after all, its important thing is, did you do what you wanted to do? And if you did it, that's an improvement. So, it's kind of offer a different perspective as well. Instead of focusing on losing or winning, we can focus on our own performance in shiai.
Yeah.
What do you think, man?
I agree, man. And this is why I think it's important that, and we have to refresh your memory, we've talked about this before, and I think it's why it's important that we don't set goals, or we don't sort of encourage our athletes to set goals that say, I want to win this competition. Because as you say, you don't have control of how that's going to play out. You have control about where you position yourself, you control whether you play offense or defense, you control whether you do hunt or hold during the fight. Those sorts of things, where you're positioned, what sort of techniques you use, how you bait them, all that sort of stuff. But you don't actually control whether the shimpan is going to put their little flag up for you or not. You know what I mean? You can influence it, but you can't necessarily control whether it's going to go up. And this is the point of today's topic, is that sometimes they're going to do the wrong thing. To your mind, they're going to do the wrong thing. So I agree. You've got to have a very clear set of goals that are surrounded by this idea of, how do I improve? What am I working on? And where are the ways that I can measure it throughout? Is that in the number of waza that I execute? Is it in my ability to go a full 5-minute or 10-minute shiai without losing my fitness, and dropping my performance? Those are the things that we can start to offer to any competitor, win or lose, but particularly those ones that are finding it a bit difficult to influence the shimpan and get the flags up. How can we start to work that into our training so that the results start to go in our favour a little bit, so that when we have a result, whether we like the result or not, we can turn that again into a learning opportunity to get better.
Okay, so another thing we want to do is to check on our students after the the incident happened. It is like you've been saying, it's a learning opportunity. So if you just leave it behind and then pretend nothing happened, you don't learn anything from it. So we can go back to our students and talk about it, and then set up a new goal and how they're doing. And, maybe they still need emotional help. Or by setting up a new goal, maybe they can, shift their mind and then, okay, let's do it. And I'm not going to lose like that again. So probably you should follow up with the students and then, encourage them, or still listen to them maybe if necessary, and set up a new goal and then just move forward. I think that's...
You touched that. I totally agree, but you also touched on something there, man, about when we follow up. Like, something that's really valuable to consider here is the impact that loss may have had on the person. And so from sort of like an emotional point of view, and again, particularly when we're talking about less experienced people going into a shiai, maybe they're working on it for months and they've been really training hard, and then they lose in a way that they feel was unfair. And you can say all sorts of stuff. You can say, oh, this is a great opportunity for us to learn, and all those things that we've been talking about. But at the end of the day, they might just really drop a lot of motivation in that moment. So to be able to follow up, or to be aware of the need to follow up, with our guys and girls that don't get the result that they were hoping for, and really check in on their emotional sort of well-being, I guess, is a really important step in the process, right? And I've seen it before, man, and it's sort of, I don't know about you, man, but it's happened to me as well. You lose a competition, you just go, you know what? Bugger this. What is this? You know what I mean? So I think following up with a little bit of a check-in, I think it's an opportunity to set some new goals, but it's also an opportunity to see how they're feeling. Another thing, I think this is a really, really important thing that we can start to do. We've been talking about, learning opportunities, following up so that make sure that their emotional well-being's there. Those things I think are really, really important. Here's something that we can do at training that would really benefit, because I know that this benefited my competitive sort of understanding, was to actually be a shimpan. You know what I mean? And so when you get the opportunity to do it, you actually realize that it's a prick of a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the person that didn't
anymore.
yeah, man. And the person that didn't put the flag up for you really doesn't, 99% of the time, probably doesn't want to be standing there doing that. They'd rather be having the cup of tea and the cookie in the corner. But to have the opportunity to do shimpan, I think there's two things there. One is the empathy. So you go, okay, so it's a hard job and you're going to get it wrong. But the other thing is, I see I need to be positioned here so the Fukushin can see me when I'm doing Debana Kote. So then I get 2 out of the 3 flags or something like that. So from a strategic point of view, to actually practice doing the shimpan role, it starts to teach you as a shiai, okay, this is the sort of stuff that pisses a shimpan off. This is where I need to move. This is how I need to sort of appeal and do my kiai after a cut and those sorts of things. Because that's how we influence, or that's how we can influence the people with the flags. So I think it's a really great thing to start doing in the club shiai. Is not just, with your men and your kote and you put your shinai down to the side and you do the thing. That's fine, but if there's a bit of ceremony to it as well, then you can start to really appreciate how to manipulate or how to influence the shimpan a little bit better because you've been standing in their tabi before.
You said a very important thing, influence shimpan. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Great point. Excellent follow-up. Thank you. So that was our video today about how to deal with someone who has lost their shiai, a little bit disappointed. Some of the things that you can do. Please let us know what you do with your athletes if they're disappointed after a loss. Any questions or comments? What do they do, Hiro? Did I slow
Please.
down? Yeah, that's it. You got it. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.